So basically, we look at the drivers first. So largely, it would be around customer experience, or it would be operational transformation, or it could be new business models. So when it is all about customer experience transformation, we come from the outside world. So what the customers need. So that actually starts with design thinking, looking at the ideas, formulating what are the ideas, and then we decide what is the platform. So largely, it would be a cloud-based solution. You start with the CRM, then you go on to the marketing cloud or the service cloud. So essentially, you look at ways of engaging your customer. So whatever technologies you need for engaging your customer engagement platforms, CRMs or marketing cloud or service cloud or whatever it is. So that's the first part. Next is you have actually had some kind of interactions with your customer. So you may want an additional channel to engage your customer. So that would be your mobile apps and your websites and your portal. Now, after you actually engage your customers, what should you sell for your customer? How can you sell for your customer? How do you keep them a loyal customer? All this comes into place. So that's where you need to actually capture this data. And once you capture this data, you put it into data warehouse, then you put in your AI and ML, and then based on this AI and ML, you do personalization. You go back to your customer, you try to upsell your product, or you can also cross sell your products. So essentially, that's the playbook. So you start with what your customer needs. Then from that, you look at what can you do from an engagement perspective, what can you do from a customer acquisition perspective. Then you go back to your backend, which is your data warehouse, your AI and ML. Then again go back. You actually try to engage your customer more. You create platforms and applications which will ensure that they are loyal to you. So that's from a customer experience perspective. Now, from an operational transformation perspective, you will need to take action based on your data. So most of our customers are in various stages of going towards a data-driven organization. So what is a data-driven organization? Is first is you need to actually have people who can make use of the data whichever is generated as part of your transactions. It could be your employee-based transactions, or it could be your customer-based transactions, or it could be even market-based transactions. So essentially, what you do is you take all this data, you build it into whatever is called as a data lake or a data mesh. Then from there, you actually run your AI and ML algorithms, and that actually you consume as part of data products. So data products is essentially, it could be your BI dashboards, it could be your AI and ML data science use cases. It could also be your applications which internally uses AI and ML use cases. So that's from an employee perspective. Now the third part for a playbook is your business model, new business models. So here what you look at is, can you share data with your partners and monetize your data? That's the first part. Second part is, can you securely expose your data through APIs? So that's the other part. So just to summarize, your playbook for your customer experience transactions, your customer experience transformation would be, how do you engage your customer, how do you acquire your customer, and how do you service your customer, how do you keep your customer loyal. So here you would require your CRM, your mobile apps, and then your personalization. That's the first part. Now, from an employee transformation perspective, you would actually require your digital workplace, or again your data-driven organization mechanisms, where it could be your data warehouses, or your your data lakes, and or your data mesh architecture. Then you consume that through your BI dashboards, and then take actions upon them. Basically, you consume, you create a data product out of it. Then the other part is about your new business models. From a business model perspective, you need that secure APIs. You also need a mechanism for data sharing. So that would be my playbook. So essentially, there are three different aspects. One is from an infrastructure perspective. Second is from the application perspective. Third is from your data perspective. So from an infrastructure perspective, people have already implemented cloud. They have already done multi-cloud. So now what they are looking at is, how do we actually have a kind of uniform layer over this cloud management aspects. So that is an area where there's going to be a lot of investments from an infrastructure perspective. The next one is essentially from an application perspective. Application perspective, again, I see a lot of work still happening, from a microservices perspective. So essentially, what is happening is that you may have multiple types of applications, but you may want to consume it in a different way. So there is a lot of work happening in what is called as a headless architecture. So you can have any kind of applications, you can consume it through any kind of channels. So that is one area where there's a lot of work happening, and it will continue to happen in the next year. Then the third aspect is from a data perspective. Data, there are a lot of companies who have already invested in their data warehouses, their cloud-based data lakes. Now they are actually into scaling of their AI models. And there are also more advanced customers. Here they are looking at how can you make your AI more responsible. So I think that is the responsible AI, your trustworthy AI. That's where the next set of investments are going to happen this year. I think you'll also be hearing about some of the regulations which even the Indian government is thinking of, which is about making the tech companies accountable for all their algorithms. So algorithmic auditing. How do you ensure that there is explainable AI? So these are areas where I see a lot of action happening. Of course, then you have this Horizon 3 kind of activities and innovations happening. So that is more in terms of whether metaverse is going to be even useful for you or no. I think that's one area where I see some kind of exploration happening. Again, given the uncertainty in terms of the macroeconomic conditions, people have adopted cloud in a big way without any governance. So there is a lot of focus on deriving value from your cloud investments, your digital investments. So that's where more action is happening. So how do you ensure that your cloud ops is actually cost conscious? So people are setting up FinOps organizations to ensure that there is a bridge between your financial organization and your IT organization, and your entire IT operations from a cloud perspective are controlled from a cost perspective. So that FinOps is one more area where customers are looking at. Just to summarize, I would say that you have the infra investments for the next year, which is multi-cloud management. Then the next aspect is from an application perspective, the headless kind of architecture. Then from a data perspective, the responsible AI and the explainable AI investments. All this under the hood of basically the optimization, your cloud cost optimization or your FinOps. So that's how I see the next year's kind of investments happening. Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative. What I see is that we've got the top legal heads too. I was just hearing Justice Sri Krishna sir, and then I was also hearing Arvind Gupta sir. So we got to know a lot about what is happening from an Indian government perspective, from a regulations perspective, from a privacy perspective, from a data protection perspective. I think this is a great event to get all the legal, the trade bodies, the governments, and the industry bodies together.